Jayhawks, or should I say champions, and welcome back to In the Hoop, a weekly show where we'll keep you in the loop about all things UNCW basketball. We've got a great show for you today. Ryan Weiner is here again. We're going to talk all about Washington, D.C. and the CAA tournament. However, before we get into the actual basketball, we have to talk about the trip. Ryan, other than winning the championship, what was your favorite part of that trip?
I had a few different parts that I would say were my favorite. I actually got a chance to go to the zoo on my last day there. I also just enjoyed the general environment, enjoyed the sightseeing, enjoyed some of the monuments. What about yourself?
Like you mentioned, we saw a lot of monuments. That was my personal favorite part, being a history buff. Right before the championship, I think I walked around for just about 4 hours, just randomly walking around D.C. That was terrific. But we do have to talk mostly about the basketball. So how would you describe just the general ambiance and experience of the stadium and being on press row?
Oh, Davis, it was a phenomenal experience. It was the second time we got to go. Last year we watched the Seahawks fall in the quarterfinals to Towson. It was a very tough defeat, but we were able to get our feet wet last year and get a little bit of experience in the field. This year, second time around, I was extremely excited to sit on press row again. I had such a great time. It was good practice, having to stay professional, having to stay, in a journalist mindset. That can be tough for me sometimes, but I was able to, grow a little bit during this trip and meet a lot of cool people. What about yourself? How did you think, or what did you think about the experience?
Well, I agree with you. It was terrific being in that stadium. I had a little different experience. I was sitting on the baseline photographing the game, but it was still so cool to be right there in the action. I think it was within the first 5 minutes of the very first game that we played, Noah Ross slid into me after hitting a layup, so that was kind of funny. But that's what I do here at UNCW. That's just the experience I get, and I'm grateful for it. It's really so fun. And to do that at the championship, and then of course to win the championship, just absolutely incredible. Well, like you mentioned, we got to go to a lot of games, even the non-UNCW games. The quarterfinals were really incredible. We had that Towson-Drexel game that you mentioned, our UNCW-Hampton game, the Charleston-Monmouth game, which sadly we missed the majority of, but it went to overtime. And then, of course, that William and Mary versus Delaware barn burner. Delaware put up 100 points. What was your main takeaway from those 4 games?
I had a couple of main takeaways from those games. We touched on the Drexel versus Towson game. UNCW was in a pretty clear position to want to get revenge. They had a clear game plan against Hampton. You touched on it, a little bit earlier, and on Seahawks Central. Charleston and Monmouth was an absolutely great game from a viewer's perspective. We were able to see the first half. Monmouth put up a crazy fight. I was shocked. I was shocked by the outcome of that game. They looked like they were going to win the game. They looked like they were going to win the game while watching on the Gamecast, seeing the play-by-play. I was shocked to see Charleston was able to push it into overtime. And then with the William and Mary Delaware game, once again, pretty surprising result, but Delaware was actually able to pull it out. William and Mary was a high-powered offense all season, but Delaware was able to put a little water on the fire.
Yeah. It is incredible. I'm looking over this. Those 4 quarterfinal games, only 1 upset. Like you said, we had a lot of insane games. Since you didn't mention it, I'm kind of surprised you didn't. Delaware, John Camden, 36 points in a 100-point outing for Delaware. I think we had seen them the day before beat Campbell, which was, of course, a great game. But I think that win over William and Mary, who I personally was pretty high on, that really showed me, oh, okay, Delaware's got legs in this thing. Yeah. We talked about, I'll toot my own horn a little bit. I had Delaware as a sleeper on our preview show. They are the best shooting team in the conference, but the worst defense in the conference. And it's always hard to figure out which one of those is going to win out. Like you and I said many times, we weren't at the game, but the first game, Delaware versus Stony Brook, Delaware won that by, I think, 4 points, and they had to come back in that game, and then they ended up going on that huge run. It's really a testament to how crazy March is.
Yeah, when Delaware defeated Campbell, it was one thing. Campbell was shorthanded. But when they were able to defeat William and Mary, a top 4 seed, that kind of put them on the map and solidified them. Obviously then they were able to beat the number 1 seed at Towson. So Delaware had this pretty incredible run.
Yeah, and you just mentioned it. That moves us right into the semifinals. That Towson-Delaware game, you and I both predicted that Towson would win. That did not happen. I think you and I were both happy about that. But what I really took away from that Towson-Delaware game was just how good the CAA is.
Yeah.
I mean, to have the number 1 seed play a pretty good game and lose by 10 points to the 12 seed, that was just incredible and showed the parity of the league. What did you take away from that game?
Well, Towson's all about tough shot making. They're all about second chance points, tough mid-range jumpers, getting that extra spin on the rim, and nothing was falling for them in this game. It was pretty shocking to see. Delaware, it was sort of the opposite. It was, late in the shot clock, they would throw something up. It might bounce a couple times and roll in, or, they were able to take the fans out of the game. Towson, with the tournament being in D.C., Towson is the closest institution to the tournament. So a lot of those games were home games for them, essentially, and Delaware was able to take the fans out of it. And then our game against Charleston, it was incredible. Yeah, I mean, it was something. It was something different.
It was.
You have Darren Boyd on here, finished with 18 points. He only scored 3 points in the first half, 15 points in the second half. He was keeping Charleston afloat. Berzovich did what he had to do. He didn't have an amazing game, but his impact and his value was seen on the floor. UNCW was having to send double teams. Charleston put up a crazy fight.
Yes, they really did. That game, as I said, I was sitting on the baseline. I thought I was about to have a heart attack. Sitting there trying not to show a lot of emotion because I was, pressed.
Yeah.
But, it was almost a one-possession game basically the entire second half, it felt like. It was truly an incredible game, one of the best games I've ever seen in person. I mean, both teams were playing great defense. Neither team cracked 70 points, and those are two teams that are very used to cracking 70, even 80 points. To have it be a 68-67 final really shows how much those defenses impressed. But moving on, UNCW did win that game. Incredible game. You and I were both elated walking away from that arena. That's a feeling I'll never forget. But it got topped the very next night. UNCW beat Delaware, won the championship 76-72. An incredible game from Donovan Newby, a great showing from Noah Ross off the bench. Before we get into the emotions of it, what did you take away from the actual game of that?
Well, I would like to say that Delaware is one of the best 12 seeds I've ever seen in my life.
Might be the
12 seed in the conference tournament. They're looking to become only the third team in the history of all of NCAA Division I to win 5 games in 5 days. I just think the fight and the effort that they put in can be attributed to team chemistry and good coaching. Inglesby does a really good job up there. But focusing on UNCW in the game, guys like Nolan Hodge, guys like Kamari McGriff, these returners that aren't going to be our lead scorers, but they're going to play important roles. They're going to have important buckets. One that sticks out to me is Kamari catching the ball in the post, spinning on his right shoulder, the double team coming from the left side, and he just goes up with the hook right over Camden, over 2 people, just exactly like we've been seeing in the training videos for 5 to 6 months. This team's been working hard. I'm so proud of them. What did you think about the game?
I mean, like you say, it was really incredible. Just like that Charleston game, I kind of thought I was about to have a heart attack. 2 really close games for the Seahawks, 2 wins for the Seahawks. And Coach Siddle mentioned it in the post-game press conference after they won the championship. He mentioned that they could have wilted at any moment. Like you said, Delaware might have been the best 12 seed I've ever seen. Might have been the best team with a losing record I've ever seen play basketball. They were really incredible. They were playing so well, and UNCW just matched every punch that they gave us.
Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that Pasha's a Patino recruit.
Yes.
I don't think I believed that at first. I believe it now.
Oh, yes. I mean, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He's an incredible player. With the transfer portal these days, I doubt he'll be in the CAA for long, but I sure hope he stays in our league because, man, would that bring some national headlines to our league if we can keep a young guy like that. But we talked about it. They won the championship, first March Madness appearance since 2017. You and I both got to be on the court for that win, got to see the emotion on their faces. I think the number one thing that stuck out to me, as soon as the buzzer buzzed was on the court, and I saw Donovan Newby just almost fall to the ground, overcome with emotion. It was just, these guys, especially guys like Donovan Newby, Kamari McGriff, Noah Ross, Nolan Hodge, who've been here for 3, maybe more years, who have seen every single time that we've not lived up to our expectations this time of year. To see them achieve that was truly special.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment. Getting to see the team, the coaches, the assistants, the trainers, the media members, everybody a part of the organization, everybody a part of this year's journey, celebrating in the middle of that court, getting to join them, getting to cover it. All that was, an experience I'll never forget. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I don't think I will either. But that's all in the past now. We've won the championship. We've got the banner. Now we got to look forward. They're a 14 seed. They're playing the number 3 seed, Texas Tech. You and I know both big basketball fans, been watching Texas Tech all year. What's your read on this matchup?
Let's get JT Toppin in foul trouble.
Yes.
That guy's pretty good at basketball.
Yes.
So we have some big guys that, maybe in years past we wouldn't have been as well equipped to guard a guy like that. Harlan, Kamari, and even if we needed to put McCoy in there, for a couple of minutes, like if for some reason, Harlan and Kamari are in foul trouble, McCoy's got a big frame.
Yeah.
I think, you have some secondary injuries listed for Texas Tech. If we can get one of those guys, McMillan or Williams to not play.
Yeah.
I know that's not really anything in our control, and, long term we want them to be all healthy and okay, but for this game, wouldn't mind one or two of those guys sitting out.
Those are the Texas Tech second and third best players. They've been playing through injury for the past couple of games. But, you mentioned him, JT Toppin, for Seahawks fans who might not be locked in on the Red Raiders. He's a sophomore, 6'9" forward, 18 points per game, 9 rebounds, 55% from the field. He's an All-American as far as I'm concerned. He is the driver behind this Texas Tech offense. I put the keys to the game: Harlan Obioha versus JT Toppin, Kamari McGriff versus JT Toppin. I think, like you say, we have to get JT in foul trouble. We have to get him off the court. Yeah. Because Grant McCaslin's not going to take him off the court willingly much.
Yeah, and you mentioned Grant McCaslin. One of the biggest wins in the Takeo Siddle era was actually over Grant McCaslin's team in 2022 when they defeated North Texas. So McCaslin is aware of the Seahawks. He knows Siddle. He knows this team. So
he remembers us,
he's not going to underestimate us. But if UNCW is able to hit their 3-pointers, maybe get Toppin in some foul trouble, get out to a lead and control the tempo, I think there's a chance we could win the game.
I do too. I really do. I think we've been watching the Seahawks team for a long time, obviously. They've got grit. They've got, like we said, they could have wilted in the conference tournament. They didn't. They've got that X factor that you see in these mid-major teams that, Texas Tech can't have, because, Texas Tech hasn't gone through the gauntlet that UNCW has. They lost, I believe, in the semifinals of the Big 12 tournament, and here they are, a 3 seed. UNCW has had to grind for really 4 years. We've got obviously a lot of transfers in their first year, but this has really for UNCW been a 4-year process to get to this moment. And I think that's a lot of weight on these guys' shoulders, but I think they are ready for it. I think they welcome that weight.
Exactly, and the last time we made it was 8 years ago. I don't think it's going to be another 8 years, but that is the pressure and the magnitude of the situation we're in. For a school like UNCW, you don't make the tournament every single year, and you have to take advantage of your opportunities.
Yep. Now, before we go, we have one last thing to get to, and that is moving away from UNCW a little bit to the NCAA tournament. Like I've said, you and I both big basketball fans overall. So what I'll go first, but I want us to put our Final Four picks on the line. We did that for the CAA tournament, and we both got 2 out of 4. So we're going to do the same thing here for the March Madness tournament.
And one sleeper team.
Thank you for reminding me. But the Final Four, I think that this is a chalky year. I think that we're going to see the 1s and 2s get the furthest, and my Final Four reflects that. I have Auburn, St. John's, Duke, and Houston. I have 3 number 1 seeds making it the Final Four, plus that 2 in St. John's. I think those 4 teams have just proven all year that they are 4 of probably the best 5 or 6 teams in America, and I think this year they are going to make it to the Final Four. But what about you?
My Final Four pretty chalky as well. I have Michigan State. I have Florida. I have Tennessee, and I have Duke. And I have Florida taking down Duke in the championship.
All right. I think I will have to go St. John's beats Duke in the championship.
Little patina run?
I think so. I think Duke might have a chance to win it all, but I was born and raised a Carolina fan, and I simply cannot go in front of a camera and say that Duke's going to win a national championship. I can't do it. So I'll ride with Rick Pitino. I think after he gets through the Seahawks in the Sweet 16, of course.
Yes.
I think he'll win the championship. But as you mentioned, one double-digit sleeper, obviously aside from our Seahawks. Who do you pick?
There's a couple that I would pick, but if I had to pick one, I'm going with the Akron Zips.
All right.
I don't know. I'm blanking on who they play in the first round. Another choice is UC San Diego. That's a pretty obvious one. They're taking on Michigan in the first round.
Yep.
But
that's mine. I'll say that right now.
UC San Diego?
San Diego is mine. I've been staying up late to watch them all season. They play a fun brand of basketball. This is the first year that they're even eligible from the NCAA tournament, moving up from D2. I think they are here to make a splash. I think Michigan's got a couple holes. I think UC San Diego is a team to look out for.
Sounds good.
But yes. Well, that's all for today's episode. Thank you again, Ryan, for joining us as always. Now that we're both back in state for the time being, we'll be back to our weekly episodes, as well as Seahawks Central sports coverage. Be sure to follow our Instagram at Seahawks Central Sports _UNCW for all of our exclusive content, especially videos from that championship game. You don't want to miss that. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.